Former Marine and career politician Jack Murtha has said some horrendous things about our troops in Iraq, particularly about our Marines. Let's hear a clip now to refresh your memories.
Taxi pulled up, they killed him in cold blood. They went into the houses and killed him. He didn't say it was murder, but what is it? They went into houses and killed children, women and children. 24 people they killed. Our troops overreacted because of the pressure on them, and they killed innocent civilians in cold blood.
Now, one soldier has decided to stand up to Murtha and run against him for a seat in Congress. It may be a losing battle, but somebody's got to take the charge. Lieutenant Colonel William Russell is a decorated combat vet who served in the U.S. Army for 28 years, including Desert Storm, the Iraq War, and at the Pentagon on 9/11. Colonel Russell is with us today on the Savage Nation to talk about why he felt it important to run against so-called Congressman Jack Murtha. Colonel Russell, welcome to the Savage Nation.
Hi, Michael. Thanks for having me on.
Tell us about yourself. How long were you in the Army?
Well, I've got a total of 17 years and 8 months of active federal service, and a total of 28 combined between reserve and active duty. The short version basically is that I'm an Iraq War vet. I'm a husband and a father, a small business owner, and an American soldier. I'm a veteran of Desert Storm, Balkans, as well as the Iraq War, and I was together with my wife, who was pregnant with our son at the time. We were both in the Pentagon on 9/11. In terms of making the decision to get out and make the run against Mr. Murtha, I basically was on active duty, was stationed back at the Pentagon again, and last year just got fed up with the undermining of the troops and not being able to find another Iraq War vet to run against him. I made the decision to get off active duty and come run against him myself.
Well, what principles do you stand for?
Pretty much three things. Primarily is one, the security of our nation. Two, we need to build a solid economic base. And three, protect basically the fabric of our national foundation, our social foundation. Within the framework of security, we've got to support our troops in the fight. The one thing that has really driven me towards this is that when Mr. Murtha threw the Haditha Marines under the bus, he basically put the United States Congress stamp of approval on enemy propaganda, and it simply reinforced the enemy's message on the Arab street and served to undermine the troops at home. And it has and this is something that has genuinely undermined our efforts in the war against Islamic extremism. In terms of the economic stability, when we look at the 12th District of Pennsylvania, it is certainly the showcase of many of the economic messages being promoted on a national level. And when you look at issues dealing with extreme government intervention and overregulation of an economy and attempted government direction of an economy, what you see in southwestern Pennsylvania is after 30 years of earmarks under John Murtha, our greatest export is young college graduates. And certainly when we have a great area that has a lot of great resources, a lot of great folks, a lot of great people who generally want to work and make a difference for themselves and build economic prosperity for their families, the programs he has brought in have genuinely undermined the development of a natural economy. What happens is we have a lot of companies that come in that are basically, because they operate as nonprofits, they don't pay taxes, either locally or nationally, and then these companies receive hundreds of millions of dollars worth of earmarks, provide very few jobs locally while bringing in some outside workers who come in, build big houses, skew the tax base. So certainly when you have a $100 million company come in and it's being supported by the small businessman who's trying to start a company locally on a $10,000 loan, it simply undercuts the development of small business and a real growth economy at the local level. And the other thing is that so many of these earmarks are going to companies that are producing things that are strictly built into defense budgets, whether or not the Department of Defense needs them, and do not meet the needs of the national market or the demands of the market. So, in other words, in 2 years, when that contract goes away with the government, that company's business goes away, as opposed to building companies and building the infrastructure that would build that companies could use to build firms and to build companies that would meet the demands of the national and international markets. And particularly when we look at southwestern Pennsylvania, there's no reason why we could not be the energy mecca of the entire United States. But on the social front, certainly we want to protect life. We want to protect marriage. We want to protect the family unit because that is the hallmark of our success as a nation. It is fundamental. And also we must protect private property rights, ensure that people have the means by which they can, one, feel secure in their homes, and certainly the Second Amendment is key to protecting that. But two, they also need to be able to pursue a livelihood, that pursuit of happiness, which includes economic viability and prosperity. And when you have an excessive tax system or a tax system that penalizes success, that is a problem. And certainly when you get into redistributive politics as a means of achieving votes, it kills the economic engine and has certainly served to make this nation great. And the reason why we get away from that economic freedom is because of our own failures to maintain our moral compass.
Where do you think Mr. Murtha went wrong?
He went to Congress with the express intent of bringing back pork. And basically he got by with it, and most people tolerated it, right up until he started throwing American troops in the fight against Islamic extremists under the bus. I remember my first thought when I saw him go on the House floor and call for withdrawal from Iraq, and my first thought was, good God, man, have you forgotten the lessons of Vietnam? Because as a Vietnam veteran and as a man who served as an intelligence officer in Vietnam, he should understand that we lost Vietnam politically, not militarily. In spite of winning all the fights militarily, it was the political undermining of our troops in Vietnam that led to our defeat. And he, of all people, should understand that. One, as an intelligence officer, he should understand the value of propaganda and the value the enemy places on propaganda. And as a savvy politician and someone who frequently crafts political messages, he should understand the value of propaganda. And when he put the United States Congress stamp of approval on enemy propaganda without any evidence other than what was provided by an Islamic humanitarian front group, once again, he reinforced the enemy's message on the Arab street and undermined the support for the troops at home and encouraged the enemy. Now, in terms of issues with the earmarks, bringing home the bacon, that's what's gotten him elected for many, many years. But with him throwing the Haditha Marines under the bus, combined with the fact that one of those Marines, Justin Sherritt, is from our district, I believe he has actually tipped the scales of forgiveness, and he is vulnerable right now. And then the other issue is that on the economic front, a lot of people are beginning to realize that, well, we hear about all this money coming in, but where's it going to? And when they look around, it's not going to their neighbors, but to the new executive who came in with this large earmark company who's built a big house down the street or a couple miles over that has skewed the property values and property taxes. So certainly the combination of these two things is where he has certainly made himself vulnerable.
Have you run into any problems running against the great mirthful Murtha?
We certainly encountered some difficulties. One of the very real issues we encountered was voter intimidation. I had approximately 15 people tell me that they could not sign my ballot petition, although they would vote for me, because if they were to sign my ballot petition, which is a public document, either they or their wife would get fired. And then that was combined with a lawsuit that would challenge the validity of some of the signatures, whether a person was at the wrong address or hadn't updated their party registration, and we had some of our signatures challenged off. Therefore, got bumped from the ballot. This forced us to go back, do a write-in campaign in order to get back on the ballot, which we managed to accomplish on the 22nd. And certainly it was a great birthday present from the voters of the 12th District.
Colonel Russell, good luck in your run, and thanks for being on the Savage Nation.
Hey, Mike, it's been a lot of fun. I appreciate you having me on. Godspeed to you and your listeners, and greatly appreciate it.
Savage.